Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Fitra, your host for today's live session. Welcome to our weekly Facebook and YouTube live. Do follow us on our social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well.
And subscribe to our iCapital
iCapital.biz.
publication.
Yeah. And then before we get straight into the topics, if you have any questions, comment, or you have any suggestion for the topics we should cover in our upcoming YouTube and Facebook Live, feel free to comment down below as well. And today with me, our fund manager and also the speaker for
Hi.
today, Teng Boo.
As usual, the same guy.
Yeah, the same interesting guy. So
Thanks.
Teng Boo, today's topic is very interesting.
You think
As
so?
yeah, I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
And as we know, Michelle Yeoh wins 2023 Oscar
Mm,
recently,
mm,
and Michelin Guide is a series of guidebook that lists some
mm,
of great restaurants.
mm.
And also, Mr. Chu is the CEO of TikTok, the one of most popular social media
You
platform
think
these
the
days,
the most popular,
the
right?
most popular
Yeah.
social media platform. So, Tembu, what do you think?
Mm.
What have these Michelle Yeoh, Michelin Guides, and Mr. Chu got in common?
Okay. What do you think? When you saw the topic,
Mm-mm.
what was the first thing that came to your mind?
Their personality,
Okay.
and for Michelin Guides,
Yeah.
supposedly like the
Mm,
editor,
mm,
they have like a great personality and
mm-hmm.
how
Okay.
they
Okay.
see like the world, and
Yeah.
they have like a lot of experience
Okay. Okay.
as well.
Okay. So that's the first thing that came to your mind.
Mm-mm.
The personality and so on.
Yeah.
I wonder if the audience, if you can share with us when you saw our
Topics.
topic, the title of our topic, what came into your mind immediately. If you can share with us in either Facebook, right,
Yeah.
or YouTube, I think that'd be great. We can talk a lot more and interact, make it lively. Anytime you have a comment, anytime you have a question, you have an opinion, don't wait for me to finish. Send it at any time,
Yeah.
right? And then maybe you can share with us
Yeah.
whatever comments, whatever opinions that we receive, so that we make it as if it's not a one-way kind of live session. That is more two-way or multiple ways.
Yeah. True.
Yeah,
So
and also for those of you who are here, who are already in our live session, can you just let us know, maybe through your YouTube or Facebook uh, account, how many of you watch the hearing of Mr. Chew, the CEO of TikTok? This was a few days ago, where the U.S. Legislators, the U.S. lawmakers, had a hearing on whether TikTok should be banned in America. So, how many of you watch this? You can actually still see it's still available live, except that it's more than 5 hours.
yeah.
It's very long. So if you all can share with us how many of you have actually watched, well, whether you watched the whole thing or partially, just let us know. I think it'll be interesting to see whether you have watched them and what your comments are, so that we can
We can
exchange
share.
our views.
Yes.
Yeah,
True.
and also, how many of you have been how many of you have watched a movie by Michelle
Michelle
Yeoh?
Yeoh.
Right.
Mm-mm.
The only one I think I watched is the, what is it? The crouching, the hidden tiger, crouching dragon, or something like that. Many years ago. That's the only one that I watched.
uh,
Right. And also, how many of you have gone to a Michelin rated restaurant in Malaysia?
mm,
And what was your opinion? What was your experience?
mhm.
Yeah. Because on my side, I have never gone into a Michelin rated restaurant in Malaysia. Overseas, yes, but not in Malaysia. Right? Okay. So, I mean, assuming that you did not watch the so-called hearing of Mr. Chew, the CEO of TikTok, let me just share with you after the hearing was concluded. If you look at the media reporting, right, the usual media, the New York Times, the CNN, the BBC, and so on and so forth, the common, I'm just summarizing, generalizing, the general headlines is that uh, CEO of TikTok failed to convince the US lawmakers, right? That it was a disaster. He failed to convince the US lawmakers that TikTok should not be banned in America. So that headline was across all this Western media. And if you have watched the actual hearing, I think you wouldn't be surprised that Mr. Chiu failed, right? But on the other hand, if you followed what happened, then you also wouldn't be surprised that Mr. Chiu failed to convince the U.S. lawmakers. Did you watch
I
the
was
hearing?
partially.
Partially, what 1 minute?
Yeah. 1 minute on TikToks and Instagram.
Oh, it's shown on TikTok also.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
it
you,
cuts
you
off.
got to watch as much as you can because
Yeah.
uh, now, of course, when I watched about an hour and a half of the hearing. After about an hour and a half, I got bored and I fell asleep. But after that, I was very sure, I was 100% convinced that Mr. Chiu definitely will not be able to convince the US lawmakers. Why? Very simple. You know, the Westerners, the Americans, they love to boast freedom of speech, democratic country, right? Democracy, blah, blah, blah. They love to keep lecturing us on that. That Asians, you must have more democracy, more freedom of speech, more rights. But did you watch the hearing? It is what is known as a kangaroo court. Kangaroo, the Australian animal, the kangaroo that hop, 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 hop,
Mhm.
right? So there's a term. It's called kangaroo court. So the hearing by the U.S. lawmakers were conducted like a kangaroo court. Now, what is a kangaroo court? Kangaroo courts are systems that are intentionally set up to give you an illusion of a fair and just legal process. When when in actual fact, they do not support unbiased justice. That's a kangaroo court. Oh, yeah. In a kangaroo court, the lawmakers, the judges have already decided, have already made the decision on the fate of the person who is accused in advance. They've already made up their mind. Usually, they do it for the purpose of making a conviction. Yeah, that means of making a decision that they already decided in advance. And either they manipulate the court proceeding, right, or in this case, the hearing proceedings, the procedures of the hearing, right? And they will, in a kangaroo court, they will deny the person who has been accused, in this case, Mr. Chiu and TikTok, of a proper defense. So if you watch it right from the very beginning, the chairwoman by the name of Katie McMorris Roberts, a Republican from Washington State, in that 5 10 minutes in her opening address, she's already told you TikTok is guilty, you're guilty, you should be banned, full stop. You should watch. You should watch. And then in the hearing, the question is a lot of the question was, Mr. Chiu, yes or no? Yes or no? Is TikTok linked to ByteDance? Yes or no? And so many times Mr. Chiu tried to explain. And before he could explain, the US lawmakers, the supposed democratic freedom of speech lawmaker, chop him off and say, oh, therefore your answer is no. Right? And the violations in a kangaroo court, the violations of justice, of fairness include they assume that you're guilty. The normal court is you assume that you're innocent until you're proven guilty. This one is no, even before the hearing starts, you're already guilty. Right? Because they're not interested to hear your thing. Otherwise, when they ask him a question, they don't even give him the time to explain. And look, TikTok is not, I mean, I'm not a techie, I'm not a IT guy, right? But this kind of social media technology is not as simple as a yes or no, right? Like in his case, Mr. Chew keeps saying, I'm from Singapore, I'm a Singaporean, I'm born in Singapore, I serve in the Singapore National Service, and the headquarters of TikTok is in Singapore and US, and there's no headquarters in China. So they ask, the staff of ByteDance or the staff in China have access to whatever you're doing, your algorithm and all that. So Mr. Chu said, no, this is on a global collaborative basis, which is true for every global technology does that. Right? You collaborate from your office in India, in Silicon Valley, in China, in Singapore, and you put together whatever the inputs of different offices. But he was not given the chance to answer. So the US hearing by the US lawmakers who keep telling you we love freedom of speech, we want democratic processes, we respect human rights. They didn't give him a hearing. They didn't give him a fair hearing. It was a kangaroo court. So why didn't the Western media say that Mr. Chew of TikTok was tried in a kangaroo court? None of the Western media reported in that manner. Yeah. Now, more importantly is how do you link it with the Michelin guide and Michelle Yeoh? Right? The If you look at him, he's a Singaporean, right? Jiu Shou Ji. Right? The Jiu is the same as Eric Zhou, Eric Zhou, the famous Taiwanese singer, is the same surname, right? Shou Ji is in Mandarin pronunciation, right? So if you look at his name, when he was in the hearing, he said, Mr. Shou Chiu. It's like calling Mr. Teng Tan. And my name is not Teng Tan. My name is not Mr. Bu Teng. My name is Tan Teng Boo. So in his play card is Shou Chiu. So in the hearing, some of them call him Mr. Shou. It's like calling me Mr. Teng, no. When you call him Mr. Shou, you call him Mr. Teng, no. Come on. Right? And then, of course, they cannot even pronounce Douyin. Douyin is the TikTok version in China. They pronounce it twine, twine, twine. You know the twine in China? What twine? It's not twine. It is Douyin. And it's Mr. Chiu. Chiu Shou. So, when you have these people who tell you that, look, I'm superior to you. I know democracy. I respect freedom. And they cannot even understand where Mr. Chu comes from, what his culture is, that his surname is Mr. Chu and not the other way around. How are you going to get a fair hearing? How are you going to be respected in such a hearing? So, in this hearing, which is 5.5 hours, or it's damn long, right? And you can see Mr. Chu like the typical modest Chinese type of person with humility. They're not argue with them. They're not speak up. Oh yeah, so it's so humiliating, right? And what I interpret it as, it is a mental and cultural colonization of the West. It is they believe that they're still having superiority over the rest of the world. How does that link to Michelle Yeoh? Look, in this year's Academy Award, a few Asians won. After how long? The Academy Awards have been around for a long time, for many, many, many decades. You mean after 70, 80, 90 years, you finally found a few Asians that are good in acting? You mean the 4 billion Asians are so bad that it takes 80, 90 years? And if you're going to give Michelle Yeoh, I mean, yeah, she's a good actress, no doubt. But what I found it was very insulting that you need a Western kind of entity to tell you you are world class. We are world class because we are world class. We are world class not because you, the Academy Award, tell us we are world class. Come on, you look at. I don't know how many of you. How many of you, if you can, send in your comments. How many of you have watched movies by Bruce Lee? Right, his first show was The Big Boss, Fist of the Fury, Enter the Dragon, Way of the Dragon. This was like 50 years ago. How many of you have seen Bruce Lee's movie? If Michelle Yeoh won the Academy Award, Bruce Lee should have won the Academy Award 50 years ago. He created an entire new category of films, kung fu films. Before him, nobody respected the Chinese actor and actress. Nobody respected Chinese shows. But Bruce Lee was the best. He did all his kung fu without any stuntman. He did all the fighting by himself. No stuntman needed. Right? And he created a new form of self-defense. And he was so good. He was so popular all over the world. Not just in Asia, but all over the world, really all over the world. So why didn't Bruce Lee win an Academy Award 50 odd years ago? Because at that time, if you see Bruce Lee's show, right, this is real kung fu. He's really good, you know. You will see that in all the instances, he will face a Western opponent, and in every fight, he beats the Western opponent.
I see.
So you have a person who is so damn creative, who created a new category of movies, which is the kung fu movie, which is so successful globally. An artist that does not use any stunt person and didn't win Academy Award, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing here again. And look, there are a lot of great movies from Bollywood, which I've watched 50 odd years ago, right? And then, you know, a lot of the Western musicians, the Beatles, Michael Jackson, and all that, they went to India to copy their dancing and their songs. But how come Bollywood has never won an Academy Award until now? Why? Because the Western society, the Western countries want to give a political statement. Right? Why suddenly, of out of the blue, a few Asians won Academy Award in an era where the West is declining, losing a lot of respect. Look at what's happening in UK. The whole country is in riots. France is in riots. 3 million French people, constant strikes, constant protests because they wanted to disagree with the plans to increase the retirement age. Britain is in a mess. America is so divided, so they're worried, and they want to be able to patronize, dominate, and colonize the mindset, in this case, the Asians. The same thing with Michelin guy. Why do I need a Westerner who doesn't even know what sambal is, who doesn't even know what chinchalo is, who doesn't even know what perut ikan is, to come and tell me which food is good, which food is delicious? I mean, look, just because the Michelin from France said this is 1 star, therefore it's good. Just because Academy Award says this Asian actress is good, it's good. Just because the US lawmakers say that TikTok You should be banned, therefore you should be banned.
Mhm.
No, this is wrong. This is all about the sense of Western superiority, the sense of being culturally and mentally colonized. It's the same. Why? I mean, I'm so happy that Mr. Chu did not have a Western name. If you had like John Chu, right?
Mhm.
They would have called him John Chu instead of his Chinese name.
Mhm.
If I were Mr. Chu, I would have told them in the hearing, right? Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I respect you all in this hearing, but you have to respect me. My surname is Chu. You can call me Mr. Chu, or you can call me Shouzi. But don't call me Mr. Show. Don't call me something else because that is not my name. And please respect me. I should have. The CEO of TikTok should have demanded to speak up for his rights because they don't respect you.
Mhm.
It's the same thing, right? So the point I'm trying to make is why must I have a Western name? Why must I call myself uh, John Tan or Paul Tan? My name is not John. I don't mind. It's okay. You want to have a Western name, fine. But why is it that when we address them, when we call them, we cannot call them the way that the Asians do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for Koreans, Japanese, Chinese, the surname is always in front.
Mhm.
So in the case of this Katie Morris Rogers, I will call you Rogers Katie Morris. Now, if I were to call her Rogers Katie Morris, she would have blasted me. She would say that, look,
Mhm.
my son is Rogers, you call me in the correct way. But why is it when you call Mr. Chu in the wrong way, how come I cannot request that you call me in the right way? So this Western colonization is scary. Because just to share with the audience, we have one staff who joined us a few weeks ago, very junior analyst. He resigned after a few days. So my executive director asked him, why did you resign? Oh, because when I read your iCapital publication, you are so anti-US, you're so pro-China.
Mhm.
I mean, whatever we write in iCapital is based on solid, sound research. I, because of my childhood, my upbringing, my education, I cannot read Chinese and so on. So the only thing I can look at is the sources of my research are all English. And all these sources are written by academicians from Western universities, right? For example, the book on the British Empire by Caroline Elkind. She is a professor from Harvard. Or the book about the history of Northeast Asia. That means the history of East Asia, the relationship between Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and China from the uh, Ming Dynasty to Middle Qing Dynasty is written by a professor from University of Southern California. So all my sources are all in English and by Western academicians. So if these Western academicians who did a lot of research on which my research is based on is pro-China,
Mhm.
then how can you accuse me of being pro-China? So I'm worried because Asians and including Malaysians, we have this mentality. That's why you see a lot of us, when we meet with the Western counterparts, we use the Western name because we want to make it easy for them. But do the Westerners make it easy for us? When you cannot pronounce a German name, some of the Dutch names are so hard to pronounce, or some of the English names you don't know how to pronounce. Do they say, okay, it's okay, I make it easy for you. You don't call me, I don't know, there's so many, like Emmanuel Macron, it's not macaroni, it's Macron, must pronounce it in a certain way. So he doesn't come and tell you, oh, I make it easy for you, never mind, you call me macaroni. They don't do that. They look down on you as if you are so uneducated, so uncivilized that you don't even know how to pronounce my Western name. But when it's the other way around, they tell you, hey, you make it easy for me, you put a Western name there. This is colonization. This is mental colonization. This is cultural colonization. And the three things: the Mr. Chiu's hearing, the TikTok hearing, the Michelle Yeoh, the Michelin Guide of restaurants in Malaysia, all of them have this common theme that the West still think that they are superior, that they can colonize us mentally and culturally. And the biggest problem is not the Western people. The biggest problems are we, the Asians, because whether it's Malaysian, Chinese, or Muslims or Indians, the Asian people, we allow them to colonize us. So my mother always tell me, that you have to speak up for your rights, right? And to speak up when you are right. My mother passed away. She's uneducated. She has only 1 year of education. She cannot read English or Chinese. Her bahasa is Pasa bahasa, and her Mandarin also self-taught. She doesn't really know how to write properly. So she went for a holiday in France with my father, right? And they went to a casino in Monaco, to mind Judy gamble, right? And she was cheated by the croupier in the casino. She was cheated by one of the staff in the casino. My mother is the type that when she's right, she'll speak up. So she, not knowing English, Malay, Chinese, or French, she spoke to them in Hokkien, which is a Chinese dialect, right? She spoke to the croupier in Hokkien. She demanded that I want to speak to your manager that you cheated me, because the croupier denied cheating her. In the end, she demanded, and then the manager agreed that the croupier cheated her. And all she did was to speak in Hokkien. So it's the same thing. Why must I keep getting email letters from the Economist magazine. Dear Mr. Teng Tan, dear Mr. Tan Teng. What the heck? So this cultural colonization must stop. Because if not, we will always be trapped. We, meaning the Asian people, will always be trapped, and we will always think that we're not as good as them. We always don't have that confidence. We always lack the self-confidence. Hey, Asians are among the most creative people in the world, whether from India, whether from Pakistan, whether from Indonesia, whether from China or Vietnam. We are among the most creative people in the world. Let's have confidence in that. Let's be proud of that. And not to be arrogant, right? Not to be chauvinistic, but just to make sure that whatever we have, we are respected for who we are, what we are. I mean, the Westerners always tell you, you have freedom to choose, blah, 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 right? So now, you want to ban TikTok because it's linked to China and the Communist Party. So you mean the Chinese people don't have the right to say that I prefer the Communist Party? When you have TikTok like that, you say, oh, communism is trying to undermine and expand to America, we cannot allow it. But then when you come and tell us that you must be a democratic society like us, aren't you also undermining us? Because we have the right to choose. And if you look at the history of China, right, you have two main parties at that time, which is the Communist Party, led by Chairman Mao, and the Kuomintang, led by Chiang Kai-shek. Chiang Kai-shek lost. The Kuomintang was supported by America. It was corrupted, and Chiang Kai-shek was a Christian. Yeah, and the wife was a Christian. Chairman Mao, of course, is not a Christian. Chairman Mao is a communist. But the huge majority of people, you can say 99% of the people in China, supported the Communist Party because Chiang Kai-shek was totally useless and corrupted. And that's why he lost. So if you tell people that, look, the people have to choose, the people in China have already chosen. So why are you telling people everywhere in the world that Communist Party of China is bad and evil? So in the TikTok hearing, they have a kangaroo court in the world arena, in the world, when they speak to the audience in the world, they also have a kangaroo court. They already say that, look, China, you're guilty. Communist Party of China, you're guilty. Full stop. And then the same thing with the Michelle Yeoh and the
Michelin.
Michelin guy. They're telling you, look, we in the West know better than you. We know who is your best actor, best actress. We know what is the tasty food for you, what is a good food for you. I don't think we need that. Come on. Asian civilizations, whether it's India or China and so on, we have been around here for far, far longer than the Western civilization, including the Islamic civilization. You know, if you look at it, we have been around for 3,000 years, 4,000 years, long before they even know what civilization is all about. So it's sad. It is sad that our history books, whether it's in Malaysia or somewhere else, we don't talk more about these sort of things, right? We Our history books look as if the British colonial masters in Malaysia, like they were doing good to us. The truth of it is no. So we don't have history lessons which are objective and deeper and more comprehensive. That's why a lot of the people come out not knowing the situation, the real situation, and still have this mindset that, oh, you know, the fact that you're from the West, therefore you're superior. So that's the thing that's common in Michelle Yeoh,
Michelin Guide, and
Michelin
also
Guy,
Mr. Chu
and Mr. Chiu's
of
hearing.
CEO of TikTok.
Huh? Like I said, she's a good actress, but there are Asian actors and Asian actresses that were better than her a long, long time ago. Like I said, if you haven't watched Bruce Lee, please. The best part I like is when he really knocks out the Western guy
Wow.
without stuntman.
Wow, that's interesting. Actually, we got like engaged from some of our viewers. Most of them really like watch the.
Bruce Lee before.
No, I mean like watch the Mr. Chiu
Oh, Mr.
hearing.
Chiu's hearing. Okay.
Okay. And then some comment from YouTube
Mhm.
from Tan Han Wui. He said like, oh, he watched partially of Mr. Chiu interview. I found some of the panels are clueless about TikTok, technology, the industry practices, and ignore similar platform challenges. Yeah.
They are, the lawmakers are ignorant, and more importantly, is they are not interested. They don't want to know the facts. They just want to say that, look, in a public hearing which was telecast live all over the world, they just want to do in a public hearing that Communist Party of China is guilty, is evil, and therefore should be banned. That's all they want to. That's the message they want to deliver.
And then Mr. Leong Ki Boon, I watched a little and received comments via TikTok. It is not a fair interrogation and one-sided. True, like.
Yeah. It is like what I said in our this week's iCapital. It's like McCarthyism, where there was a movement in the early 1950s in America, where all kinds of people, all kinds of Americans were accused of being pro-communist. Like very famous people, Nobel Prize winners, actresses, for no reason. Hey, you're communist. Okay, that's it. You're anti-American. It's the same kind of McCarthyism all over again. Maybe.
And then Mr. Fu Wenbin. I guess like he watched Bruce Lee movie a lot because he said like Bruce Lee is legend.
Yes, he's a legend.
Yeah. And Alan Tan mentioned from Facebook, totally agreed. On we still know Koto to Western.
Kowtow.
Kowtow. Because
Kowtow
it's
means
spelled like KOWTOW.
yeah, no, that's the correct spelling. Kowtow means like that. Oh, like that. Oh, you're my superior. You're my master. You're my tuan. You're my sahib.
I just knew that term. Oh, and this must change. Yeah, that's true, right? We don't have to follow on the Westerners' side most of the time. And from Fu Wenbin also, he said that colonial is about day robbery.
Yeah, it's not only robbery. It's exploitation. It's repression. Every country that's been colonized by America, by Britain, by France, by Germany, by Belgium, by Spain, by Portugal, have all of them have seen repression, abuse of human rights, massacres, genocides. Right? Now, take a look at Nobel Prize. How many Chinese have won Nobel Prize? Very few. Only maybe two or three. You mean, and also Indians. You mean the Indians and the Chinese and all that and the rest of Asians are so stupid that we cannot win Nobel Prize? Right? But when you win Nobel Prize, ooh, wow, you're so successful because Nobel Prize has awarded you the prize. But do you know that Obama, President Obama, the first African American person to be president, he won the Nobel Prize, Peace Prize, within a few months of becoming US president. Nothing wrong with that. Only thing is, in that few months, what did Obama do? Zero. What has he done to contribute to peace? There's so many Asians or Africans or Latin Americans that have contributed to global peace that should have won the Nobel Peace Prize, but none of them won. And this Barack Obama, who became president only for a few months, got a Nobel Peace Prize. What kind of hypocrisy? What kind of this is real hypocrisy? And like I said, it's very insulting. So, I mean, I'm not Michelle Yeoh. If I'm Michelle Yeoh, I'll tell them, look, thank you very much. I'm very honored, but I don't want your I don't want your academy award. Or if I'm the restaurant that has got this Michelin 1-star rating, I said, thank you very much. I don't need your rating. I'm already good as I am.
That's interesting.
Right, Nobel Prize, you can't think of anyone. I mean, of a very few Indians, very few Chinese. Because you're not supposed to be smart, ma. You're supposed to be the colonial servants, right? I mean, this is the same thing. Let me just show you. Right? Can you see this map? Ma?
You just put slightly in the middle. Okay.
Can see or not? I can, huh? Okay. What I'm showing you is the East China Sea, right? This is Kyushu, the southern part of Japan. This is China. This is Shanghai here. This is Taipei. Now, if you don't zoom in, this one I really zoom in a lot. If you don't zoom in, if you look at the distance from Japan to Taipei, you cannot see all these small islands because it looks as if it's just the Pacific Ocean and the East China Sea. When you zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, then you can see that, oh my goodness, from the north and the east of Taipei to Kyushu, Japan, all got small islands, all claimed by Japan. And China has got only one coastline, which is towards the East China Sea and the South China Sea. So what? And South Korea is here, Japan is here, right? The largest US military bases in the world are in Korea and Japan. The largest. And Okinawa is here. Okinawa has got huge American military base. So America, with their bases in South Korea, in Japan, in Okinawa, and Guam is here, another huge Japanese military base. Plus the fact that America has got the biggest and the most powerful aircraft group in the world. The aircraft carrier, most of them are nuclear powered. A conventional type of aircraft carrier is not so powerful. A nuclear powered aircraft carrier can operate in the sea and the oceans for 20 years without having to stop for refueling. And America has the most. So military bases in South Korea, in Japan, huge military bases, Okinawa, and this Taipei here, who is currently led by the idiotic Tsai Ing-wen, and then Guam is here. So America can actually blockade China and close China off. But when they talk about all these things, they don't show you all these tiny islands. There are so many of them. It's shocking. I mean, don't take my word for it. Just go to Google Map and then zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Now, I got another map here. I hope you can see this. Can see, yeah?
Okay.
Can see, yeah? Okay. This one is Taipei here, right? There's Hong Kong, Shenzhen, and this one is Philippines. Again, you have to zoom in because this is Luzon, this Luzon Island. If you zoom in, you see that on the north of Luzon Island, there are a lot of small islands which are claimed by the Philippines. Right? Remember, the upper part here is the East China Sea, which have got all the islands claimed by Japan. The southern part here, the Philippines, and Philippines recently the Bongbong Marcos, the Bongbong Marcos Jr., the current president of Philippines, very stupidly opened up 4 military bases in Philippines for the US. So US is going to open we suspect it's not been officially announced that we suspect the new US military bases in Philippines will be here in Palawan and 3 in Luzon, which is close to Taiwan. So if you take these two, that means the entire coastline of China can be blocked by America. So then what does China do? China has no choice. China has no choice but to make sure that they have a strong position in the South China Sea. So then, of course, the Western media will say, oh, China is so aggressive, claiming all the islands, blah, blah, blah. My interpretation is that what China is doing here is for self-defense. It is the maritime version of the Great Wall. Long time ago, China built the Great Wall so that the nomadic tribes from the north cannot come and invade China. Now you're building this. China is building the infrastructure, the facilities in South China Sea, not to invade anybody, but to make sure that their coastline is not completely sealed off by the biggest aggressor in the world, the United States. Otherwise, can you imagine the entire coastline of China is blockaded? I cannot get my food supply, I cannot get my energy supply. So you don't get this interpretation in the Western media because they don't want you to know that China has no choice but to build some of the facilities here to ensure that America does not block them. And completely, if you have a blockade, the whole economy will collapse. Right? So to solve, how do you solve this? How do you make sure that the South China Sea becomes peaceful? Ask America, the ASEAN governments, right? Whether Malaysian Prime Minister, the Thai Prime your bases in Japan, Okinawa, in Guam, in Australia, and some in Singapore, in Thailand, and Philippines, all should be closed down. Once you close down all your military bases and you make sure that your aircraft carrier and your warships don't come here, China will stop building all the things in the South China Sea.
Wow. This is interesting new knowledge for me as well.
I mean, look, a lot of people don't know this because a lot of people don't. A lot of people just simply trust the Western view. Like I told you, my ex-staff, right? The one who just came for a few days. And what we write in iCapital already is based on solid research and then seen as pro-China. So that's how brainwashed they've been. So I wouldn't be surprised because I took the trouble to go and zoom in on the Pacific Ocean. I took the trouble to do all that, right? So this kind of views are not heard. And when you hear the hearing, CNN, New York Times, BBC, and oh yeah, TikTok, wow, it's so dangerous. CPC is so dangerous.
Okay. So actually, there's none questions because I guess like the sharing is very informal.
yeah.
So
No, if they have no comments, that's fine. Maybe many of them don't agree with me. Maybe they feel that I'm too anti-Western and too anti-US. I'm not anti-US. I'm just don't want to be pro-US. for all the wrong reason, right? And I don't want to be pro China for the wrong reason. I just want to make sure that I'm anti China. That's all. I want a balanced view. That's all.
So, guys, you can share your thoughts. Like, do you think it is a new information, new knowledge for you guys? And are you agree with Tan Teng Boo sharing for today? So, thank you for watching and enjoying this live. And again, don't forget to follow our social media.
And also to suggest topics or
Yeah, if you have any suggestion for us to cover in our upcoming Facebook and YouTube live next week, do please let us know. And that's all for today. We'll meet again next week. Happy weekend, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.